SportsBeat is brought to you by Ken Garth. We hear you.
We won a couple games in a row. They won a couple games. They came back and beat us. We just got to try to win two right now, and that's the only way you can look at it.
Michael Jordan for three. Good. A heroic performance.
No one expected us to fulfill this, and that was part of the challenge.
He's the greatest, and he's definitely the MVP in my eye.
SportsBeat is live, and for the first time in what seems like forever, we have live sports on this Sunday. JJ and Sam with you for the next few minutes. Kyle Whittingham and Mark Harlan on what it will take to play college football this fall, and Jazzman George Niang back in the gym this week as we get closer to an NBA comeback.
Yeah, plus as the Last Dance docuseries comes to a close, we look back on the Jazz and Bulls meetings in the 97 and 98 finals, the good, bad, and ugly 2 decades later.
But for the first time in 2 months, let's start the show with live sports. It feels good. The reopening around the world is underway, and slowly but surely, live sporting events are making their return. The German Bundesliga resumed their season Saturday. UFC crowned champions last night, and on Sunday, it was NASCAR that returned to action, although things were a little different. This is how it looked at Darlington Raceway in South Carolina. Yes, no fans. Social distancing in the pits. Racers wearing face masks. This race is the first of 7 NASCAR races between now and May 27th. 7 races in 10 days in Darlington and Charlotte. First lap of the race, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. found the wall. William Byron took stage 1. Braz Keselowski took stage 2. And it was Kevin Harvick taking the checkered flag to win the Real Heroes 500. It was his 50th Cup win.
You know, I didn't think it was going to be that much different, and then we won the race, and it's dead silent out here. So we missed the fans. Man, I'm excited. You know, it is weird, just because there's nobody up there.
We're excited for sports too. The PGA Tour returns June 11th with the Charles Schwab Challenge. That gets underway in Fort Worth, Texas then, but we don't have to wait 3.5 more weeks to get our golf fix, because we got that today. A taste of the PGA Golf in an event you watched right here on KSL, the tailor-made Driving Relief Challenge. 4 PGA golfers, Dustin Johnson, Rory McIlroy, Ricky Fowler, Matthew Wolff, taking on each other in a skins match to raise money for COVID-19 relief. No fans, but it did have some drama. An extra hole needed to determine the winner. One hole worth $1.1 million. It's closest to the pin, and Rory McIlroy sticks it from 120 yards. He and Dustin Johnson win $1.85 million. Plus, the event also raised more than $4 million in viewer donations for a grand total of $5.5 million raised.
Really happy. It was an awesome day playing with DJ, Matt, Ricky, all of us out here for a great cause, and yeah, it's been awesome. It was nice to get back on the golf course and get back to some sort of normalcy.
Having any live sports is something to celebrate, but there's one sport that we have here in Utah we're watching closely for a return. Of course, that's the NBA, which took some steps closer this week. A number of NBA teams allowed players to return to practice facilities this week, including the Utah Jazz on Monday. Commissioner Adam Silver had a call with the NBA Board of Governors Tuesday, and there is positive movement on a resumption of play this season. They're encouraged about the ability to minimize health risk. There's also positive conversations with the NBA Players Association about a restart. The league is studying several different contingencies and hope to have a decision made in the next 2 to 4 weeks. Well, tonight we watched the final 2 episodes of the Last Dance documentary. Painful? Yes. Compelling? Yes. It brought back so many memories, good and bad, of 2 missed opportunities for the Utah Jazz franchise to win an NBA championship. It seems like a good time to look back from a Jazz perspective on those championship runs. So here we go. The finals here, starting with Game 1 in 1997 in Chicago. Karl Malone missed both free throws with the game tied and 9 seconds left, setting the stage for Michael Jordan to break their heart at the buzzer.
Here's Jordan. Yes! It is all over. The Chicago Bulls have won at the buzzer in Game 1 of the best of 7.
Jordan had 31, Scottie Pippen 27, and the Bulls take Game 1.
Seemed like Game 1 took a lot out of the Jazz, because in Game 2 they had a tough time hanging with the Bulls. The mailman with a turnaround jumper for 2 of his team-high 20 points. But you know who else has that exact same move and does it so well? MJ knocking it down. Now, the Jazz had just 11 points in the second quarter, trailed by 16 at the half. His airness brought the pretty reverse layup with him, too. 38 points, 13 rebounds, 9 assists for Jordan. The Jazz trailed by 19 after 3 quarters. They did not recover, losing 97-85.
Home sweet home for the Jazz. Home cooking did them a lot of good. After a rough time in Chicago, Karl Malone came alive in Game 3. The mailman delivered 37 points and 10 rebounds. John Stockton, 17 points and 12 assists. Greg Foster was 17 off the bench. And the Jazz swing momentum in the series with a 104-93 win.
Game 4 was a tight one, but a fun one to watch. John Stockton's three-pointer in the final couple of minutes pulled the Jazz within 2. One of the greatest passes of basketball history would then happen.
Stockton fires down on the lane. John Stockton gets the rebound. One bounce and no left hand on the ball over the top. Nothing Jordan can do.
Yeah, Stockton's heaved down the floor to Karl Malone for the bucket with less than a minute to go. Gave the Jazz the lead for good, and it evened the series at 2 each.
John Stockton would have been a great quarterback. The Jazz had gained confidence and taken momentum in the series going into Game 5 at home, and then we learned that Michael Jordan was sick. It seemed like a great opportunity for the Jazz to take control of the series. The Jazz led for 39 of 48 minutes. They led by as much as 16, but Michael Jordan turned in one of the greatest performances of his career. His three-pointer with 25 seconds left put the Bulls ahead for good. 90-88, the Bulls win. Jordan exhausted with 38. It turns out it was bad pizza.
Well, the finals returned to Chicago for Game 6, where the Jazz nearly pulled off the biggest upset of the series. Brian Russell hit a 3 with less than 2 minutes to go to tie the game at 86. It would stay tied into the final seconds. Jordan had 39 points, Pippen 23, but it was current Warriors coach Steve Kerr who was the hero. He made only 3 shots in the game, but this one with 5 seconds left put it on ice. The Bulls win their 5th NBA title.
And Hornacek takes it ahead from Malone. Rodman racing back. Malone slams it.
Up next, the 1998 NBA Finals. Look back at the Jazz rallying the series, a painful ending, and he looked back at 13 years of Jazz versus Jordan battles.
June 1st for the NCAA is really looking like the opportunity where we can reopen our athletic facilities.
Utah Athletic Director Mark Harlan, as well as football coach Kyle Whittingham, talk about their thoughts as to whether college sports can return this fall. We'll have that coming up after this.
SportsBeat is brought to you by Ken Garth. We hear you.
This is a special edition of Eyewitness News. Playoff coverage from the sports specialists.
Gotta love the big dog. He was a big part of the Jazz bench during those finals runs, and he's helping set the stage for a look back at the 98 NBA Finals. After a great series in 97, we get a rematch the following year, which would be the highest-rated NBA Finals ever. The Jazz and Bulls both won 62 games during the regular season, but this time around, the Jazz swept the Bulls in the regular season to earn home court in the finals. Fourth quarter of Game 1, vintage Stockton to Malone for the hammer dunk. In the final seconds, game tied at 79. Here comes Basketball John, a chance to win it, but this one is off the iron, so we go to overtime. Stockton owned that extra period. He scored 7 of the Jazz 9 points, and Utah take Game 1, 88-85.
Whether we shot well or not, I don't honestly know the answer to that. I know they're a great defensive team, and that's got to play a big part in any shooting percentage night for us. So I think what we did best was just hang in there and just keep trying to do what we do well, and it gave us a chance to win the game at the end, even though they made great comebacks.
After a big win in Game 1, the Jazz would let an opportunity slip away in Game 2. While Karl Malone struggled, making just 5 of 16 shots, Michael Jordan smelled blood. 37 points for Jordan, his and one with 47 seconds left. Put the Bulls ahead for good, and they even the series at 1 game apiece.
Just got to go down there and play. Now go down there and steal 1 or 2. So it's not over. It's 1 loss. We ran off 7 straight, so we got to lose 1 sometime. And this wasn't a good time to lose 1, but we lost it, so we just got to recoup from it.
All right, so the series would shift to Chicago for Game 3, which turned out to be a nightmare for the Utah Jazz. They shot 30% for the game. Karl Malone was the only player to play decent, but when he missed shots, the Jazz didn't get back, leading to easy Bulls buckets at the other end like there. Jordan had 24 points for the Bulls, while the Jazz shot just 1 of 9 from 3, just 21 shots made, and an NBA record low 54 points scored. They scored just 9 in the fourth quarter. It was brutal, 96-54 loss.
A total humiliation for the Utah Jazz. Beaten by 42 and held to the lowest scoring output in the history of the NBA.
After agonizing through the worst loss in NBA Finals history, the Jazz have another chance for redemption. It's the ultimate gut check for John Stockton, Karl Malone, and the rest of the Jazz. The next 48 minutes of basketball could define the character of a champion.
The Jazz would play better in Game 4, but not as good as the Bulls. Michael Jordan, 34 points, Scottie Pippen, 28, and the Bulls take a 3-1 series lead with an 86-82 win.
I don't consider myself a hero last night. I consider myself one piece of the puzzle, just trying to mix in and blend in and just, just win ball games. That's it. A lot of people said I'm disinterested. I don't care about winning and things like that. Jerry Sloan said that the other day. The hell with Jerry Sloan. People don't understand I'm the winningest player in the last 12 years in the history of basketball.
So down 3-1, the Jazz facing elimination in Chicago in Game 5. Karl Malone took a lot of criticism for his finals performance, but he hushed the critics with a special Game 5 performance, perhaps the best of his career when you consider those circumstances. He delivered 39 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists on 17 of 27 shooting. The Jazz held Jordan and Pippen to a combined 11 of 42 from the field in an 83-81 win.
I was sitting there thinking about the whole thing. I mean, at one point, I knew I wanted the ball, but no one knew what was going to happen. Isn't that ironic? I mean, that's part of my personality. That's the way things have always happened for me in my career, and I'm pretty sure everybody was hoping that would end that way, except for Utah people.
So now the Jazz return to Salt Lake City with hope and momentum. Game 6 at the Delta Center. This game had 18 ties and 8 lead changes. Michael Jordan with 45 points. The battle between Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman continued. Of course, it ended up having to be settled in a wrestling ring later that summer. We'll save that for another day. The big dog, Antoine Carr, with a big dunk. The Jazz led 66-61 after 3. Late in the fourth quarter, John Stockton gives the Jazz an 86-83 lead with 41 seconds remaining, but then Jordan takes over on both ends. A layup with 37 seconds left cuts the lead to 1. And then after stealing the ball from Malone, he broke the heart of Jazz Nation.
Chicago with the lead!
Oh, it happened, folks. John Stockton missed at the buzzer, and the Chicago Bulls celebrated their 6th NBA title in 8 seasons right here in Salt Lake City. Michael's last game as a Bull.
I don't want to talk about basketball anymore this summer. I don't want to sign a basketball this summer. I don't want to see a basketball in my house this summer.
It would be fun to do it again and see if we can get over the top next time. But I think realistically we all realize that some changes are always made, and that's the nature of this business.
I have another life, and I know I have to get to it, at some point in time, and hopefully the fans and the people understand that.
Reliving old memories is nice, but we'd like to have NBA basketball return to live form. The first steps have been taken. The Jazz have opened facilities to players for individual workouts at Zions Bank Basketball's campus. George Niang is one of the players that has taken advantage of this opportunity, but does he think they should come back to finish the season? He shared that opinion on a Zoom call with media this week.
I know all of us want to play, and I know it's a big part of our life, but all of us are concerned about people's health, and that comes first and foremost. Obviously, if we play, I'll be thrilled. The minivan will fuel up and get going. But as of right now, you just kind of living in the present, because I've tried to live in the future for the last 2 months, and I've been driving myself crazy trying to figure out what's going to happen.
Well, before the final episodes of The Last Dance, Ahmad Rashad hosted a live NBA Inside Stuff 90s reunion on NBA Twitter that featured a star-studded cast, including both Karl Malone and John Stockton. Before the broadcast closed, the mailman shed light on the current status of legendary head coach Jerry Sloan. Sloan's been battling Parkinson's disease and severe dementia since 2016, and Malone petitioned the All-Star panel for prayers on Sloan's behalf.
And also, I need to say this to everybody here. And me and Stock been talking a lot here recently. Hey, our Coach Sloan is not doing well, so I want you guys to pray for Coach Sloan.
We'll continue to do that as well. Now to college football. Will there be a college football season? It's a legitimate question as the COVID-19 pandemic continues. Can practice facilities open up soon enough to give players enough time to be ready to play by September? Well, Utah Athletic Director Mark Harlan remains optimistic that there will be a college football season, and adjustments are being made by the university to accommodate fans, if possible, at Rice-Eccles Stadium. He spoke during a forum broadcast for the Eccles School of Business with former Governor Mike Leavitt. You can read all the details on this on KSLSports.com.
We are approaching a really exciting time. June 1st, per the NCAA, is really looking like the opportunity where we can reopen our athletic facilities. We've been working very hard on that. So once we get our students back and they start working on a volunteer basis with our strength coaches, I think we'll begin the process, so to speak, of bringing them back, because we start off with soccer in August, then into volleyball, and then of course then into football. And we're planning to be ready for all those sports to begin on time.
And with the college football season, we do know that the longer it takes to open team facilities and get players and coaches back on the practice field, the longer it will be before games can actually be played. Coach Whittingham, he's optimistic that there will also be college football this fall, but for that to happen, he also says they'll need at least a month and a half to get ready.
6 weeks would be a minimum. I think that's something that we could live with. If we're presented with less than that, then we've got to adjust accordingly. But when you look at it, just discount spring ball, take that out of the equation. The typical lead-in is 8 weeks of training in the summer, 4 weeks of fall camp before you play, or camp and then leading into the season. So you got 12 weeks there. So if we get half that, I think that would be great if we can get that done. And that seems to be the consensus among the rest of the coaches as well, as a six-week leading would be adequate.
Now, unlike pro sports leagues that can gather in one place to stage games and have the resources for testing and other measures necessary to play safely, college football has different challenges. With more than 100 FCS schools scattered across the country, I should say FBS schools, for example, things in Utah have moved into the yellow phase, and Utah football players may get back to the facility by June 1st, as Mark Harlan says. For teams like USC and UCLA in California, where there's more restriction, who knows when they can get there? This prompts the question: is it fair that some teams can get back earlier than others?
I don't believe that players that have the availability and the opportunity to trade should be withheld from them. I think everything's in the best interest of the players, in my opinion. There's imbalances and inequities all across the board in the NCAA, facility-wise, recruiting bases. Nothing's really equal when you really look at it. And so I would hate to see athletes just sitting around that you could be training and getting ready for the season, just because other places aren't quite yet to that point. Now, the other side of that is I think that, the lead-in time to the season needs to be the same.
Now back to some basketball history. Monday marks the 49th anniversary of one of the most important accomplishments in Utah sports history. The Utah Stars of the American Basketball Association, in their first season in Utah, won the ABA title. Yeah, Ron Boone was a key player on that team. The Stars defeated the Kentucky Colonels 131-121 in Game 7 at the Old Salt Palace. Zelmo Beatty, 36 points and 16 rebounds. Willie Wise, 22 points and 20 boards. Oh, so much fun. Here's a look back at Game 7 in the words of both Ron and Willie.
The Stars have won the championship of the American Basketball Association. Beatty is holding the ball. There it is. The ball game is over.
When we won the ball game, I don't know when I was just so excited. I jetted. I ran off the floor. Then I realized, hey, where am I going? I had to run back on the floor to get into the, into the celebration. But
I remember clearly. I don't remember who hoisted me up. It was Elmo and I.
The crowd was unbelievable, unbelievable. And you're talking about playing at the Salt Palace, like 12,000 seats. The crowd was right there on top of you, and they were out there on the floor. It was a huge celebration. Boy, what a fun time.
The players, as much as the fans, were enjoying it. And they really, really, really enjoyed it. They felt that they had accomplished something their very first year in a city, and that really set the tone going forward.
Oh, it feels great, man. The closest I've ever came to licking, it feels great. It feels great. Oh, it's a great feeling. The highest, this is the summit of my career. You can't get no higher than this. I just feel tremendous. I don't know what to say, man. It feels great. Really wide.
I think there was a mutual adoration, I think, They adored us. We adored them. So as they carried Zelmo and I off the court on their shoulders, I just thought, is this the human zenith? Must be. There's nothing like this. It was a oneness that in the human realm, there was a oneness between sports franchise and players and fans that every sports franchises and fan base are seeking. We experienced it.
That is great stuff. Well, there are highlights that make us cringe and others that make us just stand in awe. The best of MJ against the Jazz throughout his career when we come back. Welcome on back. Now, Michael Jordan did a lot of things against the Jazz that Jazz fans, quite frankly, probably don't want to remember. But still, there were those MJ moments that made their jaws drop, too.
We have to appreciate greatness, right? We
Yeah.
put a lot of those moments together and bring them to you on this week's highlight reel.
Well, I think the first thing you do, if I were a sculptor and I was going to make the perfect player, it would be Michael Jordan. The build.
Michael Jordan is all poetry in motion.
The jumping ability, the running ability.
Both at 6'6", Jordan drives behind with ease and slams it in.
The strength, the team.
He'll fake left to right. Look out. Here he is. 15-footer. That's good. Michael Jordan.
He'd be the perfect player.
Michael to the base. He looks for the shot. Turn underneath. Put it up on a reverse. What a shot. Picked off by Jordan. He stepped right in front of him. Jordan to the middle. Behind the back. Flip to Pippen. Here we go. Got it. Pippen coming in outside from the ground. Never done. Michael Jordan.
Griffith and Stockton. Right by Jordan and slams it down.
2 seconds. Jordan. Left side. 20-footer. Good. Donovan to it. He'll go all the way. Michael Jordan. And here's Jordan down court. Slammed off. What a play. Michael Jordan with 39.
It's a great challenge because these guys right here are the champion to someone beat them, and it's always nice to come in and play these guys because you don't really need anything to get ready to play.
We're down to 2. Now to 1. Here's Jordan. Yes. It is all over. The Chicago Bulls have won at the buzzer. Are you ready?
The 1997 finals for the undisputed championship of the world.
Seconds. He fires the three.
We won a couple games in a row. They won a couple games. They came back and beat us. We just got to try to win 2 right now, and that's the only way you can look at it.
Michael Jordan for 3. Good. A heroic performance.
No one expected us to fulfill this, and that was part of the challenge.
It felt like he was going to pass out. We was feeding him fluids and cold towel and things of that nature, but he's the greatest, and he's definitely the MVP in my eye.
We almost showed you the title. We're going to give it another shot. Thank you.
Chicago doesn't have to foul because of the overlap. It's Stockton on the run, and it's Utah by 4. And game 1 goes to Utah in overtime. It's a 3 at the buzzer. It counts. And Chicago wins it by 4. But whether it's by 4 or by 42, they have won them both at the United Center. Stockton. Harper's on it. Behind the screen. Harper got a piece of it. It comes off. The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship, and it's their 2nd three-peat.
The Hallowed Grounds, brought to you by Siegfried & Jensen.
Welcome to this week's episode of The Hallowed Grounds. Big thanks to the Ogden Golf and Country Club for having us as always. Fessy Satake, everybody. Fessy, stay 6 feet away from me, please, okay? Thank you, sir.
Yep.
This is how this game works. We play the first. It's a par 5 here. If you beat me, we go to the second for closest to the pin. If you hit it closest to the pin, Bushnell rangefinder valued $500 is all yours. If you don't win, we won't let you leave empty-handed. We've got some gift certificates for you as well. You ready to play some golf?
Ready. I need a rangefinder too, so I
you
gotta,
better play well.
Gotta step it up.
Okay. I also heard you're a half-decent punt returner.
Yeah, I could catch a couple punts.
If you were back there and I was punting.
Yeah.
Like, you've seen how I punt.
Oh, yeah, but you haven't seen how I've returned.
I haven't. That's why I'm asking the question, Fess.
Okay.
Like, do you think you could catch the punt?
I'm very confident. So I grew up playing rugby, you know, so I kind of get I know the ball's different, but the rotation, the angles, how it comes off, it's all the same, you know, to me. And so I'm confident after a little scouting. I think I could field your kicks, man.
You really think?
Yeah. Now, if I was pinned back, I'd probably be fair catching most of those because I know you're a marksman. You know, I know I watch those. And spinning those things in. But if we're just in normal field of play, I think you'd be getting yelled at when you came back to the sideline. You're not supposed to let that guy catch it. Kick left.
Kalani and I are close.
Yeah.
So if you say something that he doesn't like, Kalani, if you're listening or watching, just come to me. Don't go to Fess, okay? Was it difficult going from offensive coordinator to wide receivers coach?
Yeah.
That's got to be hard.
Yeah.
You have all the power, and then all of a sudden you don't have as much.
Yeah. And it's difficult not in the way of maybe a lot would see it, whereas you lose control and power. It's just different. I was able to, I was forced to look at the game through a different lens and to see the whole offense and enjoy that for what it's worth. And so where it was difficult was just almost relearning how to just focus on my receiver play and not coach them like I coach the quarterbacks, and seeing the whole game and try and simplify things and be a little bit more efficient in my coaching. So that's where it was hard. It wasn't so much that I lost power or title. It was just kind of relearning that where I started, which was coaching wide receivers. Yeah, and being around the head coach, you know.
Yeah.
I was leaving Jay Hill and going to a guy that's kind of, you know, I don't know much
Kalani,
about him.
he's just different, you know. Utah BYU, we don't know if the season's going to happen. If it goes down and BYU beats Utah, what's Fessy Satake going to do to celebrate?
Go home.
Okay.
Have a nice dinner with my family, put my kids to bed.
Fessy, it's going to be like midnight. You're going to eat that late?
Yeah, I got it. So I can sleep good. Okay. Put my kids to bed because they'll be up probably with the game, and then wake up and then start preparing for the next opponent.
That's the most coach thing I've ever heard.
I know.
And it sucks.
I know. I wish I could give you some cool answer that doesn't align with BYU, but that's not the case. So.
Like I was hoping for, like, you know what, Tom? I'm going to go to In-N-Out and I'm going to murder some animal fries.
Oh!
Fessy, I'm sorry things didn't work out for you today. Regardless, I thought the conversation was very enjoyable. It's great to see your face, and I appreciate you taking the long drive all the way up the valley to Ogden. But we'll give you you into golf gift card or some free I shouldn't say free golf because that's not the right word, but some golf
Nothing's
coupons.
free. Yeah.
Up there at Heber Valley.
Nice.
We've got our friends up there, Heber Valley Golf, so we'll look after you. But again, thanks for coming out. Fessy Satake, everybody. Best of luck this year as well.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks.
No worries.
It was good. It was fun.
No worries, Coach.
Yeah, take care, man.
You see that? He just changes the way he speaks when I call him Coach. It's remarkable. All right, Patrick Fishburne, one of his many strengths, I should say, is his driving ability. So Patrick, in a minute or two, if you could just explain kind of your setup.
Yeah, so the first thing I do when I'm looking at a tee shot, I try to pick a small target, and so with this shot, I'll pick that tree in the distance and try to pick a really small target and focus in on that. If I look out there and just think hit fairway, then my miss is going to be huge. And so what a lot of the people do that I think, the guys that I play with, they hit down on the driver. Their angle of attack is down, which creates a lot of spin and a lot of dispersion in their shot. And so what I think about with the driver is hitting up on it, and the way I do that is I start with a little wider stance. I put about 60% of the weight in my back foot, about 40 in my front foot, and then I just think about having a lot of width and a little pause at the top and just let it go.
Golf for years has needed a little bit of little hit of fun, and music has become popular on golf courses. So Bushnell has come out with a very innovative product called the Wingman. This is a Bluetooth speaker. Great sound quality, but we've done a couple things to make this not just a Bluetooth speaker. One is the bite technology. You can throw this on the side of a cart It's got 11 pounds of pull pressure. You could roll the cart and this thing's going to stay on there. Don't test that, but
so that's a magnet.
That's a magnet. Here's what separates this from the rest of the sound boxes or Bluetooth speakers. This is a GPS. So as you're going down the fairway playing your music, you just hit the button.
Center 131 yards, front 114, back 147.
Golf for days in Heber Valley at one of 5 beautiful mountain courses. Wasatch Golf Course, Soldier Hollow Golf Course, and the Homestead Golf Club are all within 7 miles of each other. Enjoy the feeling of getting away without the long drive.